Welcome back to Let the Quran Speak. We're discussing Islam and asceticism. Brother Shabir, what does Islam have to say about asceticism? Is there a concept of asceticism in Islam?
Yes, there's a concept of zuhud. Zuhud in Arabic really means to be aloof from the world and its material entrapments, you can say.
I guess maybe first we should define what asceticism is.
Yes, I don't know how precisely to define the English word asceticism, but when I think of that word, I think of being aloof from the world. I think of many of the mystics and saints throughout history, monks, hermits, and those who have withdrawn from the world. Mm-hmm. And sometimes that withdrawing is in a very protracted and distinctive sense. Somebody may, for example, decide to go worship God in the Himalayas, sitting there for a long time and having no concern for where one's sustenance will come from and so on. But in the Islamic faith, it is understood that we are to be in the world without being too absorbed in the world. Okay. Let me use an analogy of swimming. So if you're there swimming, so long as you are afloat, you're doing well. So you need the water and you need to stay afloat. But if you drown, then of course this is bad. So being in the world is almost like this. You have to stay afloat while in the world. You need the world and you have to be on top of it. But you cannot allow yourself to get drowned in the concerns of this world. That absorbs you. That becomes the be all and end all. That's all you're about work and earning and career and acquisition. We need something more. And to get that something more, to get the spiritual benefits, we have to sometimes sacrifice some of the material considerations.
Was the Prophet Muhammad an example in this regard?
Yes, he was a prime example in this regard, in that he was a human being commissioned by God to deliver God's message. And at the same time, he was a family man. He had wives and he had children. He stopped to play with a child on occasion. As busy as he was a well-rounded personality. He could function in all of the spheres that make a person a holistic individual.
I read a saying by Ali, who is related to the Prophet Muhammad, where he said that it's not that you shouldn't own anything, but it's that nothing should own you. That's the concept.
That's an interesting saying. Sometimes it's just a simple matter of making a choice between two things. In order to follow all of the rules of Islam, one would sometimes have to make this choice. For example, to come to the Friday prayer, one would have to give up an hour of work. Mm-hmm. One might have to close one's shop for a little while one prays. So one is always making this choice between this life and the life hereafter. Where most of us fail is not that we haven't been ascetic enough, it's just that we haven't made these simple choices. We have preferred the life of this world over the life hereafter. And the Quran speaks of this by saying, بَلْ تُؤْثِرُونَ الْحَيَاةَ الدُّنْيَا. You prefer the life of this world. وَالْآخِرَةُ خَيْرٌ وَأَبْقَى. Whereas the life hereafter is better and more lasting. إِنَّ هَذَا لَفِي الصُّحُفِ الْأُولَى. This is even mentioned in the previous scrolls. So
other faiths also have this concept as well?
Yes, because it mentions specifically here the scrolls of Abraham and Moses.
Okay.
And while we're not able to identify these scrolls specifically, we can rest assured that this is the basic teaching of many of the world's religions, including the sister religions to Islam, Judaism, and Christianity. For example, we have in the Gospels Jesus advising his followers, do not worry about storing up for tomorrow, because God is going to take care of tomorrow. Of course, we should make plans for ourselves. We should make sure that we pay our bills and we have an earning to make ends meet and so on. But again, let us not make that the be-all and end-all. So that's all that our life is about. That those are the necessities of life, but the goal and purpose of life is really to serve God and to serve Him through serving His creation.
But there is value placed on this life anyway.
Yes, definitely. Again, it's like the water. You need the water to stay afloat, but don't let it drown you.
So this life is almost like a test then.
Yes, we have to recall that just as the verse says, the life hereafter is more lasting and it is better.
But this life is where you perform all of your good deeds.
True, and for that reason we do need this life. So a Muslim doesn't wish for death. There may be a situation where the Muslim is so pained that, not simply pain, but the Muslim is in such pain, such great pain, that there is little hope left for life. And one might say to God, okay, if death is better for me, then give me that. And if life is better for me, then give me that. Again, not directly asking for death, but leaving the choice to God. And that in itself shows that this life is important, and to live life to its fullest is actually what it means to be a Muslim. To enjoy all of the good things that God has created here is really to be Muslim, because a Muslim, by enjoying the things of this life, will give thanks to God, and that thanks to God will prepare one's way for a better life in the life hereafter.
Are there any famous Muslims who were ascetics in the strictest sense of the word?
Ascetic in the strictest sense,
They
first
didn't
of
get
all,
married,
to begin,
for example.
the asceticism in the strictest sense is in fact not allowed in Islam. For
Okay.
example, the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, plainly said that there is no rahbaniya or monasticism in Islam. The Quran says in Surah 57, as for the monasticism which they practice, they invented it, and God did not prescribe this for them. But God only prescribed that they should seek closeness with Him and to obey Him. And then the verse actually continues by saying, even so, they have not really fulfilled what they set out to do in terms of the monasticism. Sometimes we do hear of a situation where a person has tried very much to be aloof from all of the things of this world. For example, somebody pledges not to get married or something. But in our religion, we are taught that if you try to be extreme with serving God, then this will overcome you. So don't try to be too extreme. Be moderate, be
Why
balanced.
will they overcome you?
Well, let's say a person tries to make everything haram, like everything is impermissible. Everything he looks at, he says, no, that will disobey God, so I won't do that, I won't do that, and I won't do that. So eventually you will find that you're not able to live by this strict principle, and you will perhaps secretly start indulging in some of the things that you have publicly declared to be forbidden. So strike a balance in between. Let your physical desires have legal avenues through which they can be expressed. We can eat and drink. We can marry and have children. So these are legal avenues that God has actually allowed for us to fulfill our basic human needs. But at the same time, don't overindulge in these things.
All right, thank you for that,
You're welcome.
Lucifer. When we return, we will answer questions we've received from you, our viewers.